The sound of laughter echoed in the spacious living room. The tension of the gathering was broken only by Helen's booming voice. She was holding up a large metal cage, clearly a dog crate, and the awkward silence that followed made it even more uncomfortable. Helen laughed loudly. This child, I saw the ultrasound, barking all the time like a dog, she chuckled, shaking her head. Jason, the doctor said during the checkup, this child is very active. Which city are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. And hey, make sure you watch till the end. Something's going to happen that you won't see coming. The color drained from Olivia's face as she looked at her mother-in-law. Next to her, Jason wore a confused expression. Mom, this is, he began, but Helen ignored him. Everyone, she called out, her voice filled with amusement. Can you imagine? This child isn't even born yet and already unmanageable, thrashing around in the ultrasound like a badly behaved dog. She moved toward the cage, opening the door. This suits it perfectly. Olivia froze. She could feel the heat rising in her cheeks. She wanted to speak, but her voice caught in her throat. Helen picked up Olivia's ultrasound picture from the table, trying to place it inside the cage. Some people in the room, especially Helen's friends, laughed awkwardly. They raised their voices to join in, saying, Helen, you're so funny. But it wasn't funny to Olivia. Her face turned bright red. Tears welled up in her eyes as the atmosphere in the room became unbearably heavy. Olivia could feel every gaze on her, her humiliation growing. Olivia had just started to move toward her friend when it happened. That's enough. The shout reverberated through the room, and everyone turned in surprise. It was Walter, usually quiet and reserved, his face flushed red with anger. His fists were clenched. Helen, you've gone too far. Put that cage down, right now. Helen froze, momentarily shaken by her husband's anger, but she quickly composed herself and laughed nervously. Well, Walter, it's just a joke. A joke. Look, everyone's laughing. But Walter's voice trembled with a mix of anger and something deeper. No one's laughing. You're always like this, hurting people and then trying to pass it off as a joke. He walked toward Helen, his eyes locked onto hers. The room fell silent. For 35 years, I've silently watched your tyranny, your excessive interference with our son, your harassment of Olivia. I can't take it anymore. Helen was stunned. What are you saying? Her voice was strained, disbelief coloring her words. I've done everything for our family. Walter's voice was now loud and full of conviction. You've done everything. For yourself. You try to destroy anything that doesn't go your way. Our marriage ends today. The room went completely still. Helen stood there, mouth open, at a loss for words. Jason stood up, his eyes darting between his father and mother. Dad, I'm calm, son, Walter said, his voice low but firm. I've been consulting with lawyers for 3 months. I've been making preparations. I decided to end everything today. Olivia slowly stood up, walking toward Walter, taking his hand. Tears welled in her eyes, but they weren't tears of humiliation. They were tears of relief. Something was finally ending. Everyone, I'm sorry, Olivia said, turning to the group, for things turning out this way. Lisa quickly stepped to Olivia's side, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. Don't apologize. You've done nothing wrong. Walter took a deep breath and turned to face the others. His voice was calm but filled with emotion. Helen and my marriage may have looked perfect from the outside, but for 35 years, I've been a victim of her control and emotional abuse. Helen, who had been trying to compose herself, now let out a hollow laugh. What are you saying? I've always taken care of you. Walter replied. You systematically destroyed my confidence, denied my opinions. If I said I wanted to choose a different path, you'd say, you can't do it. If I tried to socialize with friends, you'd say, your friends aren't up to my level. Lisa quietly signaled to some of the guests, and they began moving to another room, giving the family space. This was a private matter. Only Olivia's close friends and a few of Helen's acquaintances remained. Walter took out folded papers from his suit pocket. The divorce preparations are already complete. I've consulted with a lawyer. Helen's face turned pale. There's no evidence. I've been the perfect wife. Walter smiled sadly. Helen, I just want to be free. But if you need evidence. He pulled out his smartphone and tapped the screen. The sound of Helen's voice resonated through the room, clearly recorded. That woman Olivia is the worst. Not worthy of Jason. She's from a poor family, uneducated, doesn't understand our social status. When the baby is born, I'll have to teach her how to raise it. That woman can't possibly raise a child. The room fell silent again. Jason's face was pale with shock. He turned toward his mother. Mom, is this true? Helen quickly became defensive. I was thinking of you. I just wanted to protect our perfect family. Protect. Anger flashed in Jason's eyes. Mom, you are destroying it. Harassing Olivia. Insulting Dad. You call this love? Olivia placed a hand on Jason's shoulder. Her eyes filled with sympathy. She could see how much it hurt him, the mother he had once idealized suddenly unraveling before his eyes. I'm ashamed, Jason said, holding his head in his hands. I've been doubting my wife's words all this time. Olivia spoke gently. It's natural. You didn't want to believe it. Walter approached his son, putting his arm around him. I was the same, Jason. I kept turning away from the truth, but you gave me courage. Jason looked at his father with confusion. You? Yes, Walter said with a sad smile. Seeing you choose Olivia and begin to build your own family made me realize I needed to change too. You're braver than I am. During this dialogue, Helen had slowly backed into a corner of the room, biting her lip. She looked as though she wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. The perfect image she had built up over the years was crumbling before her eyes. Jason, she directed her last hope toward her son. You're my son. I brought you into this world. Everything you are is because of me. Jason looked at her slowly, his voice quiet but firm. No, Mom. I've lived my own life, and now I'm creating a new family. I won't be at your beck and call anymore. He took Olivia's hand and stood by her side. You and the baby are my family now. I'll protect you both. I promise. Tears welled up in Olivia's eyes. For the first time since their marriage, Jason was completely on her side. Jason gently placed his hand on Olivia's belly. Mom, unless you respect Olivia, I won't let you see our child. Helen looked around desperately, seeking support from her friends. But they too remained silent. For years, they had admired Helen's perfect life and accepted her words without question. But today, they had seen a glimpse of the truth. I was perfect, Helen whispered, her voice trembling. I made everything perfect. Walter's voice was calm, but unwavering. A perfect appearance and perfect love are different things, Helen. Let's go home now. He approached her and quietly guided her to the door. She didn't resist, as if all her strength had drained away. Before leaving the room, she glanced back once at Olivia and Jason. What showed in her eyes wasn't anger or sadness, but fear. The fear of losing what she valued most. As the door closed behind them, those left in the room finally breathed a collective sigh of relief. After Helen left, the tension in the room started to dissipate. Lisa, who had been standing nearby, finally broke the silence with a soft chuckle. Well, that was something, huh? She said, trying to lighten the mood. Jason stood still for a moment, still processing what had just happened. The weight of his mother's betrayal hung heavy in the air. He felt a mix of anger, confusion, and something deeper, relief, perhaps. He wasn't sure. It was all too much. Olivia placed a hand on his arm, her touch grounding him. You're okay, she said softly, her voice steady, reassuring. You did the right thing. Jason gave her a small, strained smile, but his eyes were distant. He wasn't sure if he believed it yet. It feels like I've lost everything, Olivia, he whispered. Not everything, she replied, her voice gentle but firm. You have me. You have us. We're going to be okay. Jason looked at her, his expression softening. The tears that had been building in his eyes finally broke free, and he wiped them away quickly, embarrassed. I should have done this sooner. Stood up for you. For us. You're here now, Olivia said, her voice tender. And that's what matters. You're doing it now. And that's enough. The doorbell rang, breaking the moment between them. Jason gave Olivia a long look, then went to answer it. When he opened the door, Walter stood there, smiling as usual, but this time there was something different in his eyes. There was a lightness about him, a freedom that hadn't been there before. Hey son, Walter greeted, his tone warm and genuine. He stepped inside, holding a small wooden chair in his hands. Made this for Emma. Jason raised an eyebrow, surprised. You made that yourself? Walter nodded, his eyes twinkling with pride. Yeah, I always wanted to be a furniture maker when I was younger, but life got in the way. Now that I'm starting over, I figured why not try it. Wow, that's incredible, Jason said, a smile creeping onto his face. You've got talent. Walter laughed softly, a new lightness in his voice. I didn't know I had it in me either, but it's nice to find something to do that makes me happy. As Walter moved into the living room, Olivia came out to greet him. Her face lit up when she saw the chair. "This is beautiful, Walter," she said, running a hand along the smooth wood. Walter grinned. "It's for my first grandchild. I thought it would be something special." Olivia hugged her father-in-law, her heart swelling with gratitude. She had never imagined she would build such a close relationship with him, especially after everything that had happened with Helen. But Walter had been a constant presence in their lives, offering advice and most importantly, support. "I really appreciate this, Walter," Olivia said sincerely. "I know you've had a tough time too, but it's been so nice to have you here." Walter's eyes softened. "It's my pleasure. I've been regretting for years that I didn't support you and Jason more. But it's never too late to do the right thing. I want to be there for you both, especially for Emma." Jason smiled at his father. "We're lucky to have you." The next few months passed with a quiet joy. Jason took paternity leave from work, and together with Olivia, they shared the joys and challenges of raising their daughter, Emma. Their small apartment was filled with the laughter of a baby, the rustling of toys, and the sounds of a family learning to grow together. One sunny afternoon, as they sat on the couch, Olivia nursing Emma while Jason flipped through a magazine, the doorbell rang again. This time, it was Lisa, stopping by to visit. "You're looking good," she said, her eyes twinkling as she sat down next to Olivia. "How's the little one?" Olivia beamed. "She's perfect, gaining weight, hitting all the milestones." "And you?" Lisa asked, her voice softer now. "How are you doing?" After everything that happened with Helen, Olivia took a deep breath. It was a question she had been asking herself a lot lately. Was she healing? Was she truly okay? "I think I'm getting there," Olivia said slowly, her eyes meeting Lisa's. "It's been a long road, but I'm okay." "We're okay." "Good," Lisa said, placing a hand on Olivia's shoulder. "You deserve to be happy, Olivia. I'm really proud of you. You've been through so much, but you've stayed strong." "Thanks," Olivia said softly, her heart swelling with emotion. "I couldn't have done it without you." Later that week, a letter arrived in the mailbox. It was from Helen. Olivia hesitated before opening it, unsure of what to expect. Her hands trembled slightly as she unfolded the letter and began to read. "Dear Olivia, Jason, and Emma, I'm writing to you because I've been going through therapy. I'm beginning to understand my actions and the pain I've caused. I've realized that my controlling behavior came from deep anxiety and fear. The fear that I wouldn't be loved unless I was perfect. I may not deserve your forgiveness, but I want to sincerely apologize. I hope someday I can meet my granddaughter." The letter ended with a simple line. "Helen." Olivia stared at the letter for a long time, her mind racing. Jason walked over and sat next to her, looking at the letter. "What does it say?" Olivia exhaled slowly, her eyes still on the letter. "She's gone to therapy. She says she's trying to change, but I don't know. Part of me doesn't want to believe it." Jason nodded, understanding the mix of emotions that had to be swirling inside her. "It's a lot to process." After a long silence, Olivia said quietly, "Maybe we can try. Maybe we can start small, like meeting her briefly. But I need time." "We both do." Jason put a hand on her back, gently rubbing it. "We'll take it one step at a time. I'm here, and we'll figure it out together." The weeks that followed were filled with small moments of healing. Jason and Olivia kept busy, adjusting to the rhythms of parenthood, learning how to navigate their new life together. Emma's laughter echoed through their home, a sound that softened the edges of their past struggles and reminded them of the future they were building. As the spring weather warmed, Olivia found herself standing by the window one morning, holding Emma in her arms, watching the sunrise over the New York skyline. She hadn't realized how much she'd missed moments like this: quiet mornings, the simple joy of holding her daughter, the steady rhythm of a life that felt, for once, grounded. Jason walked up behind her, his hand finding hers. "What are you thinking about?" he asked softly. Olivia smiled, looking down at their daughter. "How lucky I am. How lucky we are. Despite everything, we're here, together." Jason kissed the top of her head, his heart full. "I know, I feel it too. And we're not going to let anything tear us apart. We've already been through enough." A few days later, Olivia agreed to meet with Helen, though she was nervous. Jason was supportive, but she could tell he was unsure too. They both had so many questions, so much unresolved pain, but they both understood that healing would take time, and perhaps this was the first step. They arranged to meet at a small coffee shop in the city. Olivia arrived first, her hands shaking slightly as she clasped them together. She wasn't sure what to expect. Would Helen be the same, cold, distant, or would she be different? Would this meeting bring peace, or would it open up old wounds? When Helen walked in, her expression was tentative, uncertain. She hadn't changed much physically, still sharp, still poised, but there was a softness in her eyes that hadn't been there before. She walked over to the table and sat down across from Olivia, folding her hands on the table in front of her. "I'm glad you agreed to meet me," Helen said quietly, her voice raw. "I know it's been a long time coming." Olivia nodded, her gaze steady but guarded. "I'm not sure where to start," she admitted. "There's a lot that's been said, and a lot that's been left unsaid." Helen swallowed, her hands trembling slightly as she gripped her coffee cup. "I know. I've been thinking about this meeting for months. I've been working on myself. The therapy, the reflection. It's not easy, but I want you to know that I regret the way I treated you both. I wasn't a good mother to you, Jason. And I hurt you, Olivia. I'm sorry." Olivia sat in silence for a long moment. Part of her wanted to lash out, to express the anger that had built up over the years. But something in Helen's voice, something in her eyes, held her back. This was not the same woman who had tried to control every aspect of their lives. This was someone who had faced her demons and was trying to change. "Why now?" Olivia asked softly. "Why after all this time? Why wait until now to change?" Helen looked down, her voice thick with emotion. "Because I was afraid of losing you both, afraid of not being perfect. It was always about perfection for me, but I see now how much damage that did. I see how I pushed you away, and how much I hurt Jason. I can never undo the past, but I want to start over. If you'll let me." Olivia felt a lump form in her throat. She had never expected this. She had never expected Helen to admit fault so openly, to admit to the years of control and manipulation that had shaped her childhood. After a long pause, Olivia spoke. "I don't know if I can forgive you right away, Helen. I don't know if I can forget all the things you did, but I'm willing to try. For Jason, for Emma. But this is going to take time." Helen's eyes filled with tears, and she nodded. "I understand. I'm not asking for forgiveness today. I'm just asking for a chance to show you that I can be better." Olivia looked at her for a moment longer, then slowly nodded. "Okay, we'll take it slow, one step at a time." Helen smiled, a small but genuine smile, and Olivia could see the weight lifting from her shoulders. For the first time in years, it seemed like the mother she had once known, the one who cared, who loved, was starting to come back. It was a long road, but they were walking it together. Months passed, and Olivia, Jason, and little Emma adjusted to their new life, finding their rhythm as a family. The apartment, once filled with tension and uncertainty, now echoed with laughter and the sound of tiny footsteps. Emma was growing quickly, her bright smile and curious eyes bringing joy to everyone around her. Jason's work schedule was demanding, but he made sure to carve out time for his family. Every evening, after a long day, he would come home and scoop Emma into his arms, kissing her forehead before sitting down beside Olivia. They had found their balance, a sense of peace that had eluded them for so long. One Saturday afternoon, they decided to take Emma to the park. The weather was warm, the sun shining brightly over the city, and it felt like the perfect day to spend together. Olivia pushed the stroller while Jason walked beside her, holding Emma's small hand as she giggled, her little legs trying to keep up with him. "She's growing so fast," Olivia remarked, watching as Emma took a few hesitant steps before falling into Jason's arms. "I know," Jason smiled, lifting Emma and spinning her around. "I wish time would slow down a bit," Olivia laughed, her heart swelling with love. "I'm just glad we're here, together." The park was filled with families, children running around, and the soft hum of conversations. It felt like a new beginning for them all. As they reached a bench, they sat down, watching Emma play with a small ball. For the first time in a long time, Olivia felt at peace. Her heart was full, her family was whole, and the past, though painful, was starting to feel like something they had survived, rather than something that defined them. Just as they were settling in, Walter arrived, his familiar smile greeting them as he walked toward them with a small wooden chair in his hands. It was the same chair he had mentioned making for Emma months ago. He had been working on it in his free time, taking pride in each piece he crafted. It was clear how much it meant to him. I finished it, Walter said with a grin. Thought you might like to see it. Olivia stood up, her eyes widening as she saw the beautifully crafted chair. It's perfect, she said, her voice filled with appreciation. I can't believe you made this. I had some help from a few online tutorials, Walter chuckled, setting the chair down beside Emma. But I'm glad you like it. Jason leaned over and clapped his father on the back. It's amazing, Dad. You've got real talent. Walter smiled, his eyes bright. I never thought I'd be doing something like this at my age, but I've never felt more alive. Honestly, this is the happiest I've been in years. Olivia felt a rush of warmth for Walter. He had changed so much, and it wasn't just his hobbies that had shifted. He had found peace within himself. The divorce had been painful, but it had also been the catalyst for the man he was becoming. It was the kind of change that gave hope. Thanks, Dad, Jason said, his voice filled with emotion. I'm really proud of you. Walter nodded, his eyes softening. And I'm proud of you too, son. You've come a long way. As they spent the afternoon at the park, the tension that had once defined their family seemed to melt away, replaced by a sense of warmth, acceptance, and even joy. They were a family, though not perfect, still whole, still learning, still growing. Later that evening, after Emma had been tucked into bed, Olivia and Jason sat together in the living room, the quiet comfort of their home wrapping around them. Olivia looked over at Jason, her heart full. You know, she said, her voice soft, I never thought it would be like this. After everything, I didn't think I could feel happy again. Jason reached over and took her hand, squeezing it gently. I know, but look at us now. We made it through the hardest parts, and we're stronger for it. Olivia smiled, her eyes glistening. We are, and I'm never going to take it for granted. They sat there for a moment, enjoying the peace that had settled into their home. Olivia thought about all they had been through, the pain, the loss, the fear, but also the love, the growth, and the hope that had emerged from it all. The future felt bright, even if it was uncertain. They had come through the storm, and now, together, they were building something new. The next day, as they sat down to breakfast, Olivia picked up the letter from Helen that she had kept on the counter for days. She had read it several times, and each time, her feelings were different. She still didn't know what the future held for their relationship, but she was ready to take it one step at a time. I'm going to try, Olivia said, quietly, glancing over at Jason. I don't know if I can ever forgive everything, but I'll try. For you, for Emma. Jason nodded, his voice full of love and understanding. Whatever you decide, I'll support you. We've got each other, and that's all that matters. Olivia smiled, holding her daughter's tiny hand as she played with a toy on the table. Yeah, we've got each other. As the sun rose over New York, casting a soft light through the window, they knew that they were stronger than ever. They had faced the darkness, and now, together, they were stepping into the light. And as they looked forward to their future, they knew one thing for certain. No matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together.